What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Today we're going to look at arT and him eating all of Cloud9's whole entire ass. Yesterday it was so insane. Actually put up a crazy 32-13 performance over the course of one map. But what was more specifically insane was 22-5 just to follow the Yakinder act. What is that? Yakinder 27-5 yesterday or the other day versus Furia, and then Matt arT he gets squeezed. He gets so pissed off. He comes into the next match and takes it out on poor little Zeppa. 5-7 here. This is a guy we should be doing a video on. 38 ADR. I mean, it's not like Zeppa doesn't know how to play against Fury. He plays against Fury all the time, but here's a match where, yeah, arT's pissed. And I mean, dude, I don't know what it is. What is it with Brazilian operas on CD side train? Fallen on train, KNG on train, arT on train. What's the deal? Does anybody know? If train was picked more, hold on, I got a meme. If train was picked more, this is what Brazil would. Oh shit! This is what Brazil would look like. If train was picked more. They love that map, but nobody wants to play it anymore. But Cloud9 maybe don't either for now. We'll see. This is a game I want to watch because we all remember an arT round on train. Specifically, one versus Genji, where he pushes through in with the op, goes down ladder, out to the front of T-Con, and gets in the front of the execute, and sends Daps to Valorant. Do you remember that? That was wild. arT did that shit within 3 months ago. Crazy, crazy stuff. Here's the man. We're doing them 2 days in a row, I guess, or two days out of a week. Just did them recently. Do another one, should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into the game. It's gonna be another frag movie, okay? Get your beer and popcorn because this is just gonna be one for fun. I don't know what this is gonna look like. I have no prerequisites, all the knowledge of this match. I didn't get to watch it. I'm just here to enjoy it. I think with arT, he is one of those players that, like, everything he does, there's probably going to be something interesting to talk about. With Yakinder, it was he was doing some interesting things, but overall, just sound play, really great aim. arT's always taking so many risks that, of course, talking about the decision making, especially in the high intensity moments, always so fulfilling for me because it feels like that's when I get to really know what a player is when they make a decision when there's not enough time. There's not much time to think. That another player might make a really bad decision. There's certain players like arT in the heat of the moment and when it's the most crazy, it feels like they can slow down time the best and make some really, really interesting plays. So here's a first kill on poor Zeppa. And a 2-on-4 situation. This retake's probably not going to happen, right? We've got one player outside. arT swinging old bomb just to see if this guy's taking too long to lurk. But, of course, it covers two options. One, it's the exit. Two, it's a way to get a kill. And so it just makes sense to get out of here. There's no chance for arT to win. And, in 2013, you would never, ever save in a 1v4 pistol. You'd never do it. So you saw that happen, you would laugh. But it's actually so common now because you don't want to give up $300. You don't want to give up your half armor for the next round. It's a really big deal. It compounds every little advantage. And that's one of the easiest ones that you can grab. So it's something to think about. You don't think you're going to win? Just save. Just save. Maybe not in a pug, so you don't get ridiculed by your friends. Not getting bullied is a really important part about CS. If you can avoid getting bullied, you can have a much better time. But sometimes not always possible. Some days you're going to get bullied, You only get 4 kills in a map. Like, unfortunately, you can't talk that much shit. Someone might bully you, and you're not going to feel good. That's just the nature of... It's not just Counter-Strike. It's people. Okay, it's people. It's a people problem. It's a human issue. It's not Valorant, it's not Counter-Strike, it's not Dota, it's people, okay? If you have 4 kills in a match, you feel like shit, you're playing like shit, you're going to be pressed, everything's going to make you upset, and you're going to get tilted, And you're not going to be happy. It's your fault because you had a bad day, all right? It's fine. It's not your fault. You had a bad day. You got unlucky. Then you come back tomorrow. You have a better day. You feel better. You go 16-4. You carry your team. You bully others. You bully other people below you. And there it is. The pendulum swings, as they say. Right? This is the circle of life, I think it's called. Some days you get to top frag and bully. Some days you bottom frag and get bullied. Today, arT always gets to bully. Even when he bottom frags, he's annoying. But here's a day where he obviously has so much impact. And what's also fun about watching arT on CT side is he has one of the least static positions, always on flex, rotating freely. And so I don't know if people understand what the difference is between like a flex player and an anchor. So an anchor player would be usually, okay, all maps are a little bit different, but I want you to think about it like this. The extremes of a map are usually where the anchors are playing. So imagine Pit on Inferno is where an anchor would play. Long on Dust 2 is where an anchor would play. Beyond Dust 2 is where an anchor would play. Beyond Inferno is where an anchor, one of those players is going to be an anchor. So however far you are, literally to the other end of the map, the farthest rotation, usually that's where an anchor is. And then a flex player, someone in the middle, right? You'd have someone like, Zipix playing mid Beyond Dust 2, or you have someone like arT here, or the Opper on Train. So the anchors on this map might be your B player. Your Ivy player might not move very much, and they don't have much freedom of rotation. And everybody in the middle is kind of supporting, reinforcing, weakening, and making those decisions to constantly move. And it's not a matter of which positions are more important. There's just certain styles of play that are more conducive to different roles, I think. Like RPK and Flamey, naturally strong anchors, kind of low sensitivity, strong sprays, maybe not as wise as of a player as like someone who might be running around. Like you're not going to RPK picking up and up, flying across the middle of the site. You know what I mean? It's just not his style of play. But, arT might not be as good of an anchor as RPK, holding down the pit, spraying down 3 guys, being patient enough. These are key I want to say personality traits or qualities of an anchor as opposed to like skills, okay? I think this is a big important distinction. 2 players might be equivalent skill, but they have a different style. Okay, so here we see like big rotation from arT, outside to inside. And part of arT's job is to make these guys think the op is everywhere. Let's see if arT falls off here. Oh, he does instantly. They pick up the bomb. They don't come through the smoke. He's going to throw some nades in the fallback. I thought the smoke was a little poofy that he threw down, of course, because he couldn't see the bomb anymore. Ideally, you don't want to throw the smoke on the bomb, so I think that was kind of a mistake. Just might have been slightly off. Of course, it's a tense situation. Doesn't want to get rushed down. But with this kill, it's big. They saw the bomb here. So the big part about this kill, right, is we know that Fury aren't really pushing Ivy right now. But let's say that Cloud9 are not playing Ivy. Now, if Cloud9 know that the bomb was spotted here at upper B, that, okay, and they're not playing Ivy, they might get really scared. So even if Furia don't know that and don't push Ivy, it's still a kind of an advantage because it can be an advantage because Cloud9 might be a little bit more scared of the fact that Furia might be pushing an extremity or had the idea and now we'll do it. Or they're taking over T-Con control. So let's say Cloud9 are all stacked up here waiting to be exec. They're sweating, you know what I mean? They're shivering. Oh, like, fuck. The longer we take, the scarier it is. They sit and wait. And it looks like outside is coming here, so we don't know if they've involved Ivy, if they're going back towards T-Con. There's no actual rotation, which is interesting. 10 seconds left. And nobody's committed, but, like, they can't come in at this point, so arT is going to make his way outside. Looks like a very, very strange round from just looking at the mini-map for the amount, how quiet it was. They really just kind of crossed the site, and nobody outside had to do anything. So they smoked the left side of the bomb. Vinny's on the other side of it, and I guess they creeped up maybe through ladder. And just nobody challenged. Nobody from Furia challenged, so the clock burned out because Cloud9 thought that they would take fights. So very standard, pick setup here. He's going to dodge the flashes. Okay, Op going out to E-Box. Let's see how he plays this. A very scary position, There's a timing here where a player can cross through the smoke, either from T-Con to cross out to kill someone like arT, or to actually push through the smoke through ladder, which is also, it's going to happen sometimes. Immediately the response here is to drop the smoke down and rotate in. And he had an opportunity. Actually, looked like the shot was good, but didn't go in. So no chance for the retake. Cloud9 win a round. Let's move forward. It's interesting. Already seeing a lot of variety here in the different ways that arT is approaching these rounds. And we haven't seen a couple of huge rounds yet, so there's going to be a high potential for kill. I think he had a very high multi-kill amount in this half as well, which should make things pretty interesting. So this deep pick on B is such a powerful one as an opper to do, honestly frequently, I'd say. It's, yeah, it can just really control the round. But, okay, we're going to move outside with the E-box pick. He sits in the molly. He knows he's going to get burned by the molly. But take 20 damage for an opportunity to hit a shot. Take that every day as an upper. Every day. You'll see sometimes when people pick upper B, like arT did in the beginning of this round, they're willing to take up to 78 damage. I think that's the number that you take, that many ticks, to sit in that molly and wait for a shot. To get the kill is everything. Your HP is totally... your HP is a resource as an opper to hand out, okay? If you're on low HP, you can pick up the op because you can almost feel just as strong. Bogdan's Law, right? And early in the round when you can take nade damage and things, if you can ignore some utility, you might be offered up a kill, okay? If you can pretend the utility is not there. Oh, that's okay, the lurk comes out from Messi. arT was very aware of it. I barely saw him. I guess I wasn't paying attention that much. But here's a round back for the CTs. And now arT looking for this pick again. Of course, he's holding low for the running pick, not expecting a jump out, I guess. Or a late jump out. Flash high for Vinny to go and peek. I think he might have eaten that, actually. He was like, ugh. But no matter for him, he doesn't die. Oh, this is very, very painful here. So Vinny wants to go and get... If Vinny goes and gets ladder room control like he was about to do, think about the angles this opens up for arT. He can actually sit on the side of this E-box, fight into T-Con. Very aggressive angle, very unexpected angle, right? If a rifle swings on arT, he has the E-box to maneuver around. He can take the shot. He has a smoke down right side E-box. And Vinny can also peek from the ladder if no one's there. So that would have been a huge setup. But for whatever reason, Vinny had to go back. These are the awkward moments that can get you killed sometimes. But that would have been a really strong position to get to. Especially if you call them out when they're just about to execute. But it looks like for now they've canceled somewhat. They're not going forward with this. And now we'll see if Vinny's suspicions were correct. We're trying to get control of for ladder again, it looks like. That flash breaks the glass and helps them get into ladder. And now they control this as an outpost. It's a term I want to use a lot more. A very important piece of map control that whether or not you use it, it can help you tether your players, your rotations off of this player. So if Vinny's in ladder, then look at yellow's position, right? If blue is in ladder, yellow can stand here, not have to worry about his left side at all, right? You can see how he's using the E-box, very small in the mini, but he's using the E-box. So I would consider Vinny's position to be an outpost, which is a term that I learned from chess recently. But I think it's one that's very, very relevant to CS. I'm glad to have a word for it. So here, and it's also a position where it's hard to kill you in. I'd say an outpost should also be described as a position that's hard to kill you in. So arT gets one kill on the exec. Two players up. The trades look like they're going to come down nicely. Not enough time here. Yeah, and there's just not enough time. I know it's 2v1. I mean, it's very unlikely unless Furia mess that up hard. They throw it that they're going to win. Let's see, he's picking low again. And I'm almost curious about that because sometimes, players are going to jump out Olaf. Sometimes players are going to jump to the ladder. So a stylistic choice. And sometimes a demo-based choice for the opera, whether they're going to pick for a run out or pick for a jump. But always trust your instincts, Always trust your instincts. So they try to duel arT here. And it seems like early on, he likes to try to punish this specifically early. Either going out for the pick upper B. I actually think this is it's just such a strong thing to do. Anytime I see a hard right angle on a map like this, like the two examples I'm thinking of right here on the upper B push on train, just feeding him. Okay. And Dust 2 in upper B tunnels, where you can take an op and you can close out an angle slowly and not have to worry about anything else. I find that those are such powerful positions for the ops to be in. And if you can get deep enough and just hold it, you free up your teammates. Your teammates' mobility rating goes through the roof. They can just start running around. They can start reinforcing other positions. I really adore these kinds of angles where you just can close them off slowly with mop and just sit there and hold them, like controlling a file. Do you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I see like a rook controlling a file. I hadn't thought about that one yet, but that seems like the best way to describe it. Okay. So let's see what happens now. He's actually looking to pick. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, he was going to go and try to punish Olaf. And they do see someone at Olaf, so he was correct about it. Queserado. Oh, it was Floppy who actually got to Olaf, so there was no one there yet. So that's another thing that we see arT doing, is he's trying to deny the strongest position in your default. Kind of like he recognizes what's a really strong outpost. Here's another one. Olaf Meister is that position in the corner that arT was about to clear when he came around the blue train. That's a spot where it's very hard to see someone there. So a lot of nades in the early round for the CT side are designed to go there. Molotovs, HEs, to try to just soften up that target, get them to move, get them to fight, get them to peek, or kill them completely. So arT just like he tries to approach that from that angle from T-Con, and fighting it from T-Con is a much better fight than trying to fight it from Sandwich. Again, I'm looking at the mini map, and I hope that this makes sense, but Sandwich is that area between the two trains, and then you can see how it's a really tiny pocket a little bit far back to fight into Olaf. It's very hard to fight there from Sandwich. They kind of have to peek you. But if you go around the back, you have a very, very clear open shot on this, and you're not going to expect someone to wrap like that. And that's the kind of play that arT's going to make a lot. You know, that might be looked at as very aggressive, but at the same time, in that position, it might not seem that risky, right? T-Con is smoked, so suddenly there's a pseudo wall in a position that would have made that a compromised push. But we had Floppy read into it by spamming it, and he heard arT running, of course, which made things harder. Now, I think arT did have the ability, if there was someone in T-Con, to run there, just because you would only hear like one footstep. There's probably a lot of communication at that point. There's some nades going down at the beginning of the round. So it's not likely that it's likely he would be able to get away with that. They'd be like, what the fuck? And Op is flanking? You know, that would be the moment that could work. But yeah, Floppy's awareness and good spray stopped him. What would have been cool is to see how he transitioned from there. If he wanted to sit inside of Olaf, if he wanted to wrap around the Sandwich. And from the way arT clears positions, in my opinion, we see that a lot. He'll go all the way through, around. Oh, my God. Okay, we've got the double. Is this a saving round? No, they've got rifles. We see an M4 on the ground here. arT's suspecting that someone else is out. Still convinced, it looks like. Now he's just holding onto the ramp. But this is the round over. There's no chance. Clock ticks down, and okay, he gets down the ladder, hits that no-scope. I'm sorry, was that a crazy kill? It looked like it might have been. It was just an exit, but... Let's see what happens. Smoke goes down again. T-Con. Let's see what the idea here is on the CT side. Always seems to be waiting early on for either taking one of two real options. Almost never Ivy. And now, is it a farm? Does he get 3? No, he gets 2. Nade's really well placed there on the ramp. Harder. That's a nade that's harder than it looks, honestly. You got to actually be specific about it. And let's see how he approaches this. He's waiting to see if they jumped up. Oh my God, he actually does. I swear to God, that's an instinctual shot, okay? How many times do you see someone jump up there so that they get to have cover when they go for a fight, so it's a little bit of a different angle? I don't know if arT saw Zeppa there, but I believe he had a feeling Zeppa would go there. Of course, you jump up, they can't hear you, right? So he had to read that. But I too could feel that someone might have gone up there. That's like a very normal play to make. Kit's heaviest thing in the game, by the way. You want to shoot that? You want to shoot a kit across long? That'll be 20 op shots. once again holding for this pick. There's no kill coming his way. Waiting for the T-Con kill, and now we make the rotation back inside. Everything's been working out super well so far for arT from this perspective. Again, we're holding. Coming out this far just gives you a bit more time to react. You know, you're more exposed, but not that much from their perspective, and it gives you a bit more time to react. Here it is. Just this is the definition of an off angle, right? Same fight, but now you're expecting someone to clear the angle you were just in, and then let their guard down as they jump out. This is why arT is here, and this position is the one that's opened up by Vinny sitting inside the ladder. I think this is one of the most important things to think about when we're talking about map controls. What spots are opened up when you have an angle? Oh, that's the default player sitting in the corner. How did arT do damage early on? I don't even know. Oh, that's frustrating for Alex. He's sitting there waiting for a push, but we actually don't see Furia taking over T-Con control very often. In fact, they're playing a little bit more old school with the amount of Ivy control that they have. Fallen over the course of time used to. I think he's the guy who's innovated trained the most of any player. And they, you know, some of the great teams I'd say are probably another eco round mowdown. Another 3 kind of really innovative teams on this map. Like, in terms of the meta, I think Fallen is by far the most. And then maybe, you know, Glaive and maybe Virtus Pro would probably be... I say Glaive because this is the 2017 E-League Atlanta Major. This is the final is when I think, yeah, the train just became a brand new map for Astralis, at least. Maybe not specifically because of strategy, but I think that's where it all began for me personally. But okay, Glaive's Astralis, I guess the IGL, you know, Taz's Virtus Pro, Fallen's SK, Luminosity. But I think the innovations from 2015 are so much more great than the innovations, you know, in 2018 onwards. You know, I mean, you know, within reason, like I think Astralis did innovate a ton, but at the same time, it's more about very, very small details of things that have changed and improved. Like very narrow margins, but of course, like, you know, everyone's learning so much about every map early on, and as we get closer to 2021, the changes become less, and it's more about less mistakes, right? Saving on a pistol round, this small position. The fundamentals don't change too much, of course. You know, Vinny going into ladder and arT sitting on this angle. That's something that's existed since the beginning of time. It's something you should always think about. But yes, the old school way of playing Ivy is to play Ivy with an Ivy player, and then the newer school way to play Ivy was to play around where Orange is now. Okay, the back of 5, watching Ivy from here. That became more and more common. Leaving control of it because it got so messy with grenades at Ivy that you could watch it from there. Nice off angle, kind of. Be active when it comes to dealing with T-Con, not get smoked out from back 6 if they come out ladder and T-Con. But then it looks like Furia, they kind of have done a little bit more towards Ivy being more like standard about how they're holding it. And oh my god. Yo, that's a floppy peep. What a shot. Oh, that looked insane from arT's POV. Oh, and almost a 1v1. Almost a 1v1 for floppy. Almost. Nice try. And then funnily enough, you know, Fallen was also one of the players to change it to do more of the opping from 5 as opposed to opping directly down Ivy, which he used to do a lot of as well. So yeah. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. We're not seeing too many insane pushes, right? No real huge commitments through inner. He's not pushing through Ivy, he's not pushing into T-Con. In one of his highest kill performances. I mean, what he's doing is working too. It seems like they really are just waiting around trying to counter this style of play. He's not giving it to them. But, I mean, like, I don't know. If you have a pair of eyes, you know that arT has a lot of talents as an individual player. He just chooses to play a certain style that is incredibly volatile and more info-heavy, you know, so it doesn't reflect well on the stats. But you don't. The stats, unfortunately, for some of these players now, that are playing like arT, I'm going to say it again, like Glaive, like Kerrigan, like Boomich, sometimes the stats are not in their favor. The impact is always there, but you have to be able to. You have to watch the game to see it. I think the impact rating might be based on arT, and probably it shows that it's actually doing its job when you think about a player like arT. Now, how high his impact rating is versus his regular rating, but that is that's a stat that's interpreting something that's kind of hard to interpret. I don't think it's always on point. But, yeah, not bad when we're talking about arT, that's for sure. Not bad when we're talking about arT. So this is second last round of the game. Again, I mean, we just saw arT punish a lurk. We're seeing him getting an opening kill. But it's all from the middle of the map. Not exactly what I expected coming into this demo, I'll be honest. Kind of almost pleasantly surprised, though. Definitely not disappointed by any means. And there it is. Last kill on Esatag as he gets blinded in case Rod can stick the bomb. So let's see what happens now in the final round of the game, of the half. What arT is trying to do versus T-Con, how his team is organizing. So we've got that tiny little orange-yellow cluster, okay, the Reese's Pieces, outside Ivy. And again, arT rotating within the lines. He's not going outside the lines in this game. But why should he? They keep coming to him. No one's flashing him. We're having to fall back. Okay, so he sees the smoke goes down, he goes up top. Now, it's obviously a scary spot because of a sandwich. And he does avoid, but even here you can get spammed, and it's very hard to rotate out. It's still huge because, you can stay up here, and as long as they can't kill you, they are going to be uncomfortable, right? So, yes, you might be useless now, but they still feel pressed to try to deal with you. And this could be a very good lurk smoke, but maybe one of his few opportunities to get a kill falls through the cracks. He actually makes a very scary rotation, but it seems like a necessary one. Back towards inner. Let's see if it pays off, this small risk. Teammate in the old bomb, and he's freed up at this point, so they don't know where he's gone. That is also the other thing. Some people will get fatigued trying to hold on, trying to hold a spot like that. Okay, headshot it. Okay, doesn't win the 1v2. It'll be traded out, and that's the half for arT. Yeah, the rotation out of the rotation down ladder. That's an interesting one. That's one where the rotation down from heaven. That's one where it's obviously it's a risk. You can see it's a risk from our perspective, but it frees up the round a lot. I think it's important actually when you guys are thinking about this, when you're playing, you're in a spot like that, try to find that timing. Take the risk and try to move from that position. If you feel like it's no longer useful to you. It's run its course, right? It's a strong spot because it's so annoying, but it's hard to have impact. You miss that shot just like arT did. That's going to be a thing that happens a lot. You're not going to find that gimmick shot again. They're not going to give you that one again. And now you're just useless. You're just hanging, right? You're a hanging piece. Okay, so try to find if you can drop down, make a rotation, or get out of that spot in some way. You might have a small risk there, but the payoff could be huge, especially if they still think you're there because they couldn't clear you, right? And this is not a very isolated thing. This is something that happens a lot. So I think that's actually a good example of a time that you should take that risk and when you should do that. And that'll really show if you're scared or not. And if you're just playing with a clear mind in terms of probabilities, or if you're just playing scared. And if you're playing scared, you're probably not playing correctly. It's obviously a good thing to have fear and to recognize what it is. But what's always best is to make the best move, the move you think is the best. Whether or not you think it'll make you look crazy or make you look like a hero, you're just making the move that you think is the best move to make. Then you'll always be improving. Okay, you might not always make the best move because you might not actually know what that is, but you'll always be improving. If you always play scared, you're not going to improve because playing scared only teaches you to play scareder. See you tomorrow.